Hey Sheldon, before I ask you about hockey, John started his Zoom scrum here, talking about how hockey has to do a better job eradicating racism, and he said some of the things that the Maple Leafs have been doing, sort of as a team and sort of self-education. And I just wondered your take on that, because I can't imagine there was even the same kind of level of conversations when you were a player in the league. How far has the league come in terms of that, and how much further does it have to go?
I think there's no question that there has been progress, and that the conversations are being had around the league, in our organization specifically. There's a lot of conversations, a lot of education. Yet here we are in 2022, and these incidents are still happening in our pro leagues here in North America. So that's an obvious reminder that we're not even close to where we need to be, and we have to continue to do our part to make our game a safe place for people of color. That's an obvious reminder for me, and I guess when you see incidents like that occurring, right here at this day and age, at the time when you feel like there's progress being made, it just, to me, just shows that we've got to continue to do more.
Thank you. And to switch to today's practice, you switched up the lines, I guess, in general. What's your thinking on all of that?
It's really just something I've been wanting to get a look at for quite some time here now, really dating all the way back to training camp. We haven't been healthy, and it's really, for me, it's about having Matthews, Marner, and Nylander on three separate lines, and getting a look at what that looks like for both our team and how the opposition might look to contend with that. But yes, really since training camp and exhibition games, I've been wanting to get a look at something like that. And we were planning coming out of the Christmas break and all our COVID issues with a look like this, but just haven't been healthy enough with COVID and injuries and stuff like that to go with it. So it is something I've been wanting to get a look at. So today's practice, that's what that was about. We'll practice like that again tomorrow, and get a feel for it from there, and make a determination for how we'll proceed on Wednesday.
Next up, we'll go to Terry Koshan, Toronto Sun. Go ahead, Terry.
Hey, Sheldon, is there any thinking along those lines too of the fact that there is so much hockey coming? Once you get past this weekend, there's a bit of a break, the All-Star break, but then it really heats up. To give yourself those options and know who would work with who when you might have to make some quick in-game decisions and that sort of thing.
Well, Terry, not specifically because of our schedule or anything that's upcoming, but just the realities of the season. Yeah. We've already been through parts of the season where things have come up where we've had to take a look at, or not take a look at, but we've been forced to use different line combinations and things that we hadn't necessarily thought of. And in doing so, we've found some things that worked really well. I mean, we've got great confidence in Cash's ability to play with Matthews and Bunting. So right away, that gives us the ability to say, okay, that we think that works well for us. So what can we do underneath that? It gives me more confidence in going with, as I say, something that I was thinking a lot about in, through training camp and through the off season, but a look similar to this. But yeah, you don't know what the season is going to bring in terms of health of our lineup, in terms of what we need to do to play against different opponents and deal with the schedule demands, all those things. We think we've got some really good things happening with our group. I really like the way Cam from Mikheyev and Engvall played together. Those guys, to me, were really, really good for us in Long Island the other night, and through good portions of the game against the Rangers were very good as well. And we've seen some consistency there, even back to St. Louis. So we like that a lot. And of course, like the other, we know that Kerfoot, Tavares, Nylander has been a good line for us. And of course, Marner, Matthews, and Bunting. So we have some things that we know that work, and we can go back to it at any time. And I suspect that we will. But I think it's important for us to have different options and get everybody comfortable playing in different situations and get used to moving around.
And when you've got, if you have Mitch, Willie, and Austin on different lines and it works, I mean, obviously it speaks to the confidence that you have in your depth, right? That maybe in training camp you had an idea could be there for you, but I would assure you'd agree that over the 30 plus games you've had, that you've seen that it can be there when everybody is healthy.
Yeah, certainly. I think going into the training camp, I think I was hopeful, and it was about providing extra opportunity for other players. And then as we get going here in the season, and you see what Kasha can bring to our group, and you see what see what Mikheyev's doing this season and how he's performed. What Bunting has been providing for us. So all the way through, Camp's been a very valuable player. So now we have guys that we're very confident in, and that gives me the confidence to be able to look at different things like this. So, like I said, it's something I've just wanted to get a look at for quite some time here now. And now that we're from the forward perspective as healthy as we've been all season, I wanted to get a look at it here. Well, in today's practice to start with, because who knows how long we'll stay this way with the health. But I think it's important for us to be flexible that way.
Next up, we'll go to Luke Fox, Sportsnet. Go ahead, Luke.
Hi, Sheldon. When you're making a switch like this, how do you frame it, particularly to a guy like Will, so that he doesn't see it as a demotion? I'm sure he sees himself as a top six guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot goes into our game about talking about top six and bottom six and things of that nature, but it's about minutes and how much guys play. And I don't see anything changing there at all. Generally, at 5-on-5 for the most part, you've got 2 or 3 lines in your top 3 lines that are all going to play about the same. And Willie has great chemistry with Alex Kerfoot. So we wanted to maintain that. And then with Camp's involvement on that line, it gives us, great defensive utility as Camper can provide, but also Camper's been great forechecking and getting up the ice and helping with that. But also gives me some flexibility to look at getting Matthews and Tavares some extra shifts in there, maybe moving Nylander to center at different times and putting Marner or Kasha or whomever there. Engvall's played very well and can move up. I just like the ability to have lots of options. It's on me to manage the minutes, and that was my message to Will. And not just Will, but to Mitch and Austin and John. I spoke with those guys as well, and Mikheyev, just about how I foresee it and what I'm thinking in doing this. There's no demotion here for anybody. I think this is about spreading out our lineup and something we haven't really done in my time here very much, and want to see what does it do with our team with the additions that we've made in the offseason and guys that are really comfortable on our roster. But also just how does the opposition contend with that, and what does it look like? We have a good sense of some things that work really well that I can go back to at any time, and it'll be on me to manage that.
And how's Jake Muzzin doing? Any update on a timeline? How's he feeling?
He's feeling better. Obviously, his involvement in today's practice, at least the first half of it, is a good indication of where he's at and making progress. I think anytime you're recovering from an injury like this, you've got boxes to check along the way. Today's practice was one of those boxes to get him back going again. I haven't got an update in terms of how he felt after practice. I would say it's given the process that players coming back from concussions go through. I would say that Wednesday's game is probably a stretch for him at this point, but they'll continue to monitor him and see how he handled things today. I haven't gotten a report on that.
And the last one here, we'll go to Mark Masters, TSN. Go ahead, Mark.
Sheldon, you mentioned William in the middle. What are some of the situations where you might think about experimenting or getting a look at him in that spot?
I'm just going to monitor it. I've used Will at different times there, and I'm confident in his ability to do that. Of course, Kerfoot just the same as can play the middle as well. I've got lots of confidence in however that shakes out, and the reality is on the way the game's played today, usually the center iceman is determined by who takes the face off. And then after that, there's not a lot of position happening because there's so much interchanging. The game is so fast that you're constantly switching off, and different players are playing low all the time. And different players are playing in the middle of the ice, and you got to read and react off each other. So I'm not too concerned about that. And with William and Kerf both having played there, I can go whichever way with it in terms of getting somebody else on their line in offensive situations and faceoffs and such. I just like the options that it has, and with Willie playing as well as he has through this season, and then having threats on two other lines in addition to that. I see it as some challenges for the opposition, and I'm curious to see how that plays out.
John Tavares was just telling us he feels like he hasn't been as consistent as he'd like to be since he came back. I'm wondering if you feel like for some of the older guys, it's been harder to get the engine revved up again.
Yeah, I think we've seen some of that for sure. I've had some more conversations with Jay Spezza. He feels that, not playing a lot of games has been a challenge. So I think, and even, Muzz coming out of the break felt pretty similar. But that's the reality of our schedule here. It is, the games are going to come, but let's do all we can to be as prepared as possible, for the ones that do come here. And that's all we can do. But John still played well for us, still made plays and all those things. But yeah, we think he's got another level to get to, and the schedule, as I say, is going to heat up. The guys will be in their regular rhythm and that they're accustomed to. It's just a matter of finding their way right now, and we'll see how it all plays out. But maybe even something as simple as changing the lines like that and changing that chemistry that in itself is stimulating enough to kind of get some new chemistry going and get the guys a fire in again.